Everyone in this arena has a money stake in one of our famous couples as we play the game of celebrity gossip, Tattletales. And here's the star of Tattletales, Bert Convey.
Hello, everybody. Remember Tattletales. We have a lovely group. You couldn't see him. That first shot is over the head, and you can't really see who we've got here. So we don't tip it. We want you to be surprised. And we have 3 wonderful surprises. Well, make that 6, and here they are. Winning money today for the blues section. Haven't seen you for a while. Mr. William Shatner and his wife, Marcie Lafferty Shatner. Winning money today for the banana section, Mr. Steve Allen and his wife, Jayne Meadows. Winning money today for the red section, author Joe Hyam and his wife, Elke Sommer.
Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be for blood.
I am absolutely ready. Are you absolutely ready and raring to go, all of you?
Absolutely.
Not particularly, no.
I am.
Might as well do it anyway.
Well, okay. I mean, you've all been here before, so we know what to do, don't we?
Yeah, it's kind of
Doesn't help.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it doesn't mean you get them right, does it?
Right. No.
Ladies, you all 3 look absolutely gorgeous. And you guys don't look so bad yourself. And if you're ready to go, here comes the voice questions worth $150 to your rooting sections. Ladies, your husband hires a secretary, then you both learn that she was the nude centerfold last month in one of the men's magazines. He asks you if you want him to get rid of her. Would you answer yes or no? I think that's very nice of him to ask you. Think about that. Goodbye, ladies. William, what do you think? You say, dear, would you like me to dispose of her?
Would you like me to dispose of her?
Yes.
She says.
And she says,
how? And I
with
say...
with this gun.
Actually, if that centerfold girl got rid of those 2 ugly marks in the center of where she's folded.
The staples,
the
yes.
staple marks, right.
No
reaction.
Did you? He went like this.
That's where she's stapled.
Oh, I see.
It's a staple, actually, in our diet, those staples.
I brought my bell.
You brought your bell with you.
Did you bring your pun bell?
I bring my bell everywhere.
I'm certainly glad to hear that. I hope we ring it a few times.
Who's going to bell the cat? Now, I think Marcie would say to me, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
To do what? To get rid of her?
Yes.
Steve and I both wanted to know how that was coming out. She'll say, you say, would you, do you want me to get rid of her? And she'll say yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. It's only a fair question. Here she comes now. Wonder how this is going to go. Marcie, there you are. Marcie, what would you do now? Bill asked you if you want him to get rid of her. Would you say yes or would you say no?
Yes.
That's what he said. You'd say
yes. Of course.
Now ask her why.
No, don't ask me why.
Don't have to ask. Those poor girls must have a heck of a time getting work, you know?
Oh, gosh, those poor girls.
Who's going to let them stick around? Steve, what will Jayne say?
Who's going to let them stick around? Probably somebody in Washington, I suppose. But I don't know about out here. I think, to get right to the point, that Jayne would say yes. Such a young lady, whatever other virtues she might boast, would be a distraction in the audience. Not in the audience, but I mean in the office for all the people there. And she would probably recommend that we get rid of her.
Yes, we will get rid of her.
Yes, I use the editorial we, although I haven't written an editorial in years.
Or you could have used the royal we, Your Highness, if you had chosen to. Here comes...
Or the Wowee.
Oh, Jayne. Jayne, I think Steve comes to you and says, now, do you want me to get rid of her, dear? She was the centerfold in last month's one of those magazines. Would you answer yes or no?
I'd answer yes so fast.
Yes, that's correct. That's what he said.
And listen, Bert, not for the reasons that you might think.
What are those reasons, then?
My reasons are that anybody who does that doesn't have much self-respect. I know that sounds square, but that's the way I feel.
Right. Well,
so she wouldn't make a good secretary.
Okay, if that's what you want to think about that, Jayne.
That's the way I think.
You can send her over to my office, though, Steve, if you'd like. I'll respect her immensely. Joe, what will Elke say?
First, she'd ask me if she could type and take shorthand.
Yes.
And then she'd say, that's not good enough.
300 words a minute, dear.
I think, knowing Elke, though, she'd probably also say, well, it's nice for you to have something good to look at, dear. But I think she'd better go.
Of course, she could, my wife would say you could look out the window then. What the... okay, you'll say, she'll say, yes, get rid of her. Here she comes. I think we have a trend here is what we have. Joe, Elke, how can I make that mistake?
Yes, Amy.
He asked you, Joe does, if you want him to get rid of this young lady. Would you answer yes or would you answer no?
No.
He said yes.
How can he? He knows I'm not jealous. No, he also, I think it's nice for him, to compare once in a while and see what he's got at home.
Really?
Sure.
Gee, that's terrific. Can I rent some space in your office? No.
Honey, how can you?
Sorry about that. He said you would kind of like to see her go, yes.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But Jayne and Steve and Marcie and William get the money, however, and we'll come back in a moment with question number 2 and spread it all out. See you in a moment. When we open the door. Okay, here we go. Question number 2. This is the one, and if you are ready, ladies, it is worth $150 also. Remember now, fellas, I'm asking the ladies this question. You are trying to figure out what they will say. It's a good way to think about it. Ladies, what do you think the two of you talk more about together? The good things that happen to you or the bad things that happen to you? What do you talk about more together? Okay, off you go. That's a good question, isn't it? I think that's interesting. Steve, what do you think? What seems to come up more often in your conversations with Jayne?
Well, they say that if a newspaper published good news, it would go out of business in about a week.
Right.
Almost all the news we read is bad news, or probably 90% of it is anyway. And I think this is because in the average form of human communication, bad things are so remarkable, they make such a profound impression that we do often tend to talk about them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's, 95% to 5 kind of thing in our life, but maybe 57% we talk about unfortunate aspects of life and try to hopefully do something helpful about them. So I think Jayne will say we talk a little more about the bad things.
About the bad things that happens. It's a good reason why, too. They do stand out, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And also give you the possibility of doing something about it, maybe.
Yes.
Good things you think, well, what happened? I did something right. It was an accident.
Yeah.
All right, here she comes. It's true, no question. Jayne.
Yes?
What do you think that the two of you talk more about together? The good things that happen to you or the bad things?
I hope Steve feels the same way I do, because ever since we've been married, so much good has happened to us that really and truly, I think that... He said the bad thing?
Yes.
Oh, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
You'll probably talk about that the rest of the week.
No. Well,
sorry about that, dear. Yeah, Steve made a good point, I think, too.
Yeah.
That the bad things really do kind of stand out in your mind, and talking about, for instance, why newspapers appeal to that situation, because the bad things do grab you.
Oh, I see. I was thinking only in terms of bad things that happen to us.
Well, that was the question, but Steve was giving that as a reason why perhaps that happens, and I don't know where I am at this point. Joe, help me out here. What's Elke going to say?
Well, Elke's an optimist, and I'm a pessimist. So it's a question of who brings the thing up. But I think that probably the good things occupy a lot of our time.
More than the bad things that happen.
More than the bad.
Okay. That's probably one of the mildest affirmations of an answer I've heard in years.
They're hoping.
6 people said, great for the good things. Okay, you'll say the good things, though. Here comes Elke. Elke, what do you think the two of you talk more about together? The good things that happen to you or the bad things that happen to you?
The good things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad I got this one right. I mean, he got this one right.
I didn't hear you, dear. What'd you say?
I'm glad Joe got this one right.
Yes.
No, I think the good things, for one reason, because we've been married 12 years now.
Yeah.
And so many good things have happened to us that I think they outweigh the bad things that have happened. So.
Okay. All right. Now, I think what we're driving at, Bill, is the...
Are you going to explain the question to me?
No. There's no need to do that yet. You're not in any trouble, are you?
Steve did it before.
Steve did that. Okay, well, then hell with it. Go ahead and answer it the way you want
Go back to Texas.
The bad thing?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
No.
Okay.
I understood the question was what I was trying to tell you.
Oh, I'm glad of that.
What were you going to say?
Nothing except that to be sure you did understand that it is conversation.
Well, I do understand it. I just wanted to be sure that you understood that I understood it.
Well, now I do understand that you understood that I understood.
I think Marcie's confused. We're in the same position, really. So much good has happened to us in our lives that the bad things would occupy a very small percentage of our conversation.
Okay. That's what I was going to try to explain, was talk about more. We're putting it in the present tense, really. Day to day, I think, is what we had in mind.
Oh!
Same answer.
Same answer.
Right, got it. Somehow I knew. You'll say the good things. Here she comes. Marcie, what do you think the two of you talk more about together? The good things that happen to you or the bad things that happen to you?
The good things.
That's it. You got it. Marcie's got it. Elke's got it. You split it in half. It's halftime, gentlemen. Step to the rear, if you will. And the game is nice and tight. We'll come back in just a moment and see if the rest of it will be just as tight. I hope they're not tight. They'll never get anywhere, will they?
This is how hundreds of thousands of smokers have quit. It's the gradual step-down method, and you get it only from Nicoderm CQ. Store brand patches have only one step. You can't step down your dose. Nicoderm CQ has 3. You step down gradually, and gradual is the method doctors prefer. Quitting's important. Choose carefully. Nicoderm CQ. The power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
When we asked some denture wearers why they don't use an adhesive, they didn't have a lot to say.
Don't need it.
My dentures fit fine.
No problems here.
But after we gave them Fixodent, they just couldn't say enough.
It's amazing, the difference.
It's a great new feeling of security.
Comfort.
Confidence.
I just plain forget I have them.
That's because Fixodent adjusts to the unique contours of your dentures and gums, forming a thin, powerful seal for a better hold than you ever thought possible.
I could just kick myself for not doing this sooner.
Find out for yourself what it feels like to Fixodent and forget.
If Bob were an animal, he'd be a stallion. Sarah thinks more like a chicken, and Linda, well, Linda thinks... Teresa thinks its name is Mr. Happy. Christy thinks he plays with it in the park. The truth is, Mark doesn't even own a dog. All new Three's a Crowd. Find out who knows you best beginning November 29th only on Game Show Network.
We have a 3-way tie. We're going to break it. This one's worth $300, and here we go. That makes it kind of fun. Then, if you wanted to buy your wife an evening gown as a surprise, would you choose it yourself or ask a lady friend to help you? If you wanted to buy your wife an evening gown as a surprise, okay, would you buy it yourself or ask a lady friend to help you? Off you go. It's a good question because that's a particularly difficult kind of thing and rather expensive, I would assume. Marcie, what will Bill do in this case?
This isn't tense or anything. Well, this to me seems as logical as the last one, so Blues, I hope I'm right. He would pick it himself.
He would?
He's never had anybody help him choose, and he's pretty good up till now.
Really? He
Yeah.
does. He's already done things like
Oh,
this.
absolutely. Yeah.
He buys
He's
you clothes.
Fabulous taste.
Really? All right, here he comes. Let's see. The question is that you want to surprise Marcie with an evening gown. Would you choose it yourself, Bill, or would you ask a lady friend to help you out?
Well, I'd choose it myself.
That's right.
But
wait till the blue section counts their money.
but if she hadn't fired that centerfold girl out of it.
You'd have had a perfect model.
To model
it. Thank you, Bill. Jayne, what will Steve do?
I don't know how Steve could possibly miss this one because he buys so many of my clothes.
He does.
And he has never asked the advice of anyone. He has impeccable taste.
But sometimes, you know, taste, I mean, I know
Don't try to, don't.
No, I'm not doing that. No, I won't do that.
Bert, you're trying to talk me out of
no,
something.
No, I'm not trying to talk you out. But taste, sometimes it's difficult because of another person's taste. You may have taste.
No, he has the best taste for me.
He does.
He has a very theatrical taste and very glamorous, and I like whatever's very new and, you know, he really, he will say, unless he's taken leave of his senses, that he would do it all by himself.
Okay. He's going to do it all by himself. Here he comes now. Let's bring on that senseless Steve Allen right now. Steve, if you wanted to buy Jayne an evening gown as a surprise, would you choose it yourself, or would you ask a lady friend to help you out?
Most of the questions on this show are tough because they could go, you know, many different ways. But there's no question about this one. I often do buy clothes for Jayne with no help, and I would definitely do it.
That's the one. You got it. All righty. Thank you, Steve. Elke, we are working on a three-way tie, which has not happened for quite a while on Tattletales. What do you think? What will Joe say?
Oh, boy. I think he probably would pride himself to buy it himself, even though probably later he'd have to go back with a lady. But I think initially...
He'd make the first try.
Initially, he'd at least try it.
Yes.
I'm sure he would.
Has he ever bought you anything like that?
Yes, but with varying successes. I mean, he's very sweet, but his taste is slightly different from mine. I buy most of his things, however.
Aha.
You know, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't hesitate.
Oh, we wouldn't ask you to buy an evening gown for Joe. We would.
No, well, do it again. Well, I would say he would say he'd buy it himself.
Okay.
I hope.
All right, here he comes. Let's see. Shh, now don't give it away. Joe, if you wanted to buy Elke an evening gown as a surprise, would you choose it yourself, or would you ask a lady friend to help you?
Well, we always joke about what bad taste I have, but nevertheless, as long as I could return it, I'd probably stubbornly go ahead and buy it myself.
That's what you said. You got it. In fact, you said exactly that. Everybody got it right. We split it three ways. Guess what, gang? Time is up. A three-way tie. We will come back in just a moment and pay off that three-way tie. Not too often, huh? A three-way tie. It doesn't happen very often. $250 for everybody. We had $1,000. All three sections will divide $1,750, which is very nice. Thank you all. And thank you for watching us on Tattletales. Bert Convey saying so long. I'll see you next time. Bye.
This is Gene Wood speaking for Tattletales. A Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.